Don't worry. Like and subscribe. Airtime Podcast. Turn that bell on.
Cody,
Don't miss an episode.
This is the battery that you grabbed this morning?
All right. Welcome to the show. We got Mons Roisland. Did I pronounce that right?
Yep, all good.
Hell yeah. From the Kingdom of Norway. Because I did my research and apparently it's not Norway, it's the Kingdom of Norway. That's a badass country. Well, I don't know why the Kingdom of Norway.
Yeah, we got a full-on king and queen over here, so
do you?
Yep.
Oh, I thought that was how many European countries still have kings and queens, dude? That's cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, for sure. Some old school stuff.
So Norway, it's regarded as one of the happiest places in the world. The citizens seem to be stoked to live there. In fact, upon some Googling, I found out it's the second happiest country in the world. Why do you think this is?
Good question. I don't know. It's a very, very safe place to live, I guess. It's like good welfare system and you kind of get taken care of no matter what you do. And I guess that's it. Like the mass majority of people have it really good over here. So I think like you don't need to be super rich to have a good life in Norway.
Do you personally like living in Norway?
For sure. Really like it. Yeah.
What would you give it out of 10?
Out of 10. I don't know. I'm like, we're so lucky traveling the world, so I get to experience all the different places. I don't know how it is to live at some different spots that I'd like love to visit, but so there's like definitely some seasonal stuff missing. Like there's no really warm, like super nice and warm weather. There's no like nice beaches with surf breaks and like that stuff. And so definitely like some stuff missing, I would say, but I'd give it a solid 9.2.
Whoa. I like that you didn't go 9.25. You went 9.2. That's good. That's specific.
We went pretty just solid straight on.
What about the food? What's a common dish about? I'm kind of just being selfish here and digging into Norway here because I don't know anything about it. I'm like, when I think of Norway, I kind of think about Christmas trees and Vikings and like, I don't know, reindeer meat. Like
a lot of fish. It's they have the long coastline, so it's it's a big fish industry, I guess. And so there's a lot of fish, a lot of it's like we had like super weird old school tradition food that's like a sheep's head. I don't know, like small lahova it's called. You get like the full sheep's head and they eat the eye and everything. It's pretty gross. I've never done it, but it's a big tradition. They're old school. That's fish and meatballs and potatoes.
Okay, well, another big thing about Norway is they're apparently the inventors of the ski. Did you know that?
I didn't know they invented it. No, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, 4,000 years ago, they
4,000.
invented skiing. 4,000. They have a ski in a museum that's over 2,300 years old.
You've done some research right now.
I did, and I did it a little bit just because I didn't know a lot about Norway, and I'm doing you, and I was telling you I was going to do Andreas Wig today. And so I was like, dude, I don't know anything about Norway. I've never been there. I know that you guys breed some of the best snowboarders in the world ever, going back to like Daniel Frank and Terrier and Stale and, Tor and the list kind of goes on. Stale, yourself. I mean, you guys you breed really good boarders. So it makes sense to me that skiing and being in the mountains is kind of in your DNA. Did you grow up snowboarding from a young age? Did your family kind of ski and go to mountains, or is this kind of you kind of blazing a trail.
Yeah, I grew up skiing for sure. We're like a big ski family. So I was and I was like doing the gates and poles and stuff. So I was smashing gates for a while there before I figured out that snowboarding was way more fun.
Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt there for a second. Smashing gates, that was sick.
Yeah. It was until I was 12 years old actually is when I quit. I was and I started snowboarding at 8 because my older brother tried it, and like you know how a young kid you kind of always want to do what your older brother does, and so I started snowboarding and quickly figured out that that was way more fun. And like on every ski trip or contest or whatever, I would always bring my snowboard and like do that in between when I had time. And when I was like 11 or 12, I was really stoked on snowboarding and did that a lot. And then I sent out like a sponsor me tape to DC and Oakley here in Norway, just to see if I could get some free product. And they were both down, and I was just in heaven like right away. Told my parents I'm going to quit skiing and go snowboarding instead. I was just stoked.
You sent out a sponsor me tape, like, just so we kind of have some reference point here. What year are we talking?
So like 13 years ago. Oh, wait, yeah, like 13, 14 years ago.
2009, 8-ish.
Yeah.
Damn, that's sick.
So
Like kind of the
2008.
boom.
Yeah, 2008, I think it was. There's a sponsor me tape. Yeah.
Was it a DVD, or did you send like a Vimeo link?
Yeah, I sent a Vimeo link up and made a full on like PowerPoint presentation and all that stuff. So that was dope. I was stoked.
That's how you do it, kids. You go the extra. Actually, Jeremy Jones, who we just had on the show, was saying that like if you want to get on forums, send them like a DVD or make it hard for me and send me a VHS, and I will find a VHS player and play that. Which I thought that would be amazing in 2022. Somebody sends in like a DVD or a VHS instead of just like the worst way to try to, I think, would be sending in like your Instagram or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to make
you get curious for sure if you got a random DHS tape in your mailbox.
Okay, so you DC Oakley 2009, you send them the tape. Why did you send those two brands specifically your tape? Why were you hyped on them?
Like you said, it was mostly because of the other Norwegians, like my peers in Norway. So you had at that time, like Torstein was really, really going off at that time, and he was a big like idol for me when I was a kid, and he was, both Oakley and DC at the time. So I looked at his stuff and just was so blown away and was so stoked on what he can do on a snowboard. And like DC and Oakley was the shit to me because of him. And then so found their like email addresses or whatever and looked it up. And it's pretty funny because the people I sent it to at the time, I remember Alec Ostreng was on DC back then, and he was like in the office when the TM got that tape back in. So he was like reviewing it with the TM, and I was like, yeah, like that's sick. So he was had a voice in the back of the TM's head. So that was sick. And the TM back then was Thomas, and he was then later on my national team coach, and then now he's like a Red Bull responsible whatever in Norway.
What tricks were on that Vimeo link? Like, what did it look like? What song did you use? Let's hear about it.
It was so sick. I had it was super old school, like almost all the rails were boxes, like fat proper boxes, and I had a double backflip in there, I remember, on like a sketchy home built jump in my backyard somewhere, like super rowdy. And I remember I had a front 9 where I didn't grab, but I thought it looked cool, so I grabbed I don't know if I grabbed, I did my hands on the side of my boots.
Oh yeah,
it was weird, dude, but they apparently saw some potential in there, and it was for sure fun. Yeah.
Oh man, I love boxes. It's weird because I feel like I'm at that age now, you're in your 30s. I love boxes. I grew up
Yeah,
like the
boxes are
early
dope.
2000s, like 2000s to like 2010 kids, like
Like C-rail
so
boxes.
yeah, just thick plastic boxes with like sketchy bolts and like they're coping on both sides and you never really know. Like going to a sus ski resort back in the day and kind of just going for a lip slide on their like kink box used to be like
Yeah.
really scary. Like
So sketchy. That was like how my home hill was like that. All the rails were like super sketchy. You couldn't go like 50-50 on any of them because then you'd just be like either stuck between like the bars of the box or you get like just pushed off to a side. You would always like you and after a while you like knew all the rails and how like crooked they were and stuff. So you'd have to start your board slide on your nose and you'd just get pushed over slowly because it was so crooked. But
dude,
yeah, boxes are fun though.
I yeah, I fuck with boxes. I love riding a good box. I have
Yeah.
so many tricks on the box. It was actually really sad when snowboarding moved away from boxes and like switch ups. I was
Yeah.
like so devastated because I spent my entire youth like learning how to do all those tricks, like the tail slide switch up 270 and etc. And then everyone was like, that shit's not cool. And I was kind of it was devastating for me. But you touch on Torstein there, who I'm imagining at this point is actually like a close friend of yours. Um, riding DC contests, the whole thing. They say never meet your heroes. What do you got to say about Torstein?
Dude, Torstein been the best. It's has been the best hero for me. He's been like taking so good care of me on trips and like showing me the ropes. And I like back in maybe like five years ago something. I was like struggling to really do well in contests, and I like reached out to him and asked if I could like pick his brain or whatever. And he was so stoked, and he's been like helping me a bunch, and he's yeah, been super good. So I'd say definitely meet your heroes for sure if they're like
What
Torstein.
yeah. What about what went down in that conversation? I'm curious. You called Torstein, why are you down in the dumps? And like, what did that conversation sound like?
Um, I don't know. It was a lot of like in my head, I tried to like think rationally that where I was like, I feel like I could do contests at like a high level and like could be able to do good, but I just wasn't. And then I was like thinking I know Torstein pretty well and he's been like winning everything. And I thought like there must be something in his head, like or his thought of process that must be really cool and must be kind of the right way to do it. And I just learned by talking to him, like everyone's different, and like people have different stuff working for them, and there's no really, I guess, one way to do it. But you got to figure out your own stuff and how you do it and kind of how to disconnect a little bit, I think. And Torstein's always been like a fucking badass, just going like he's winning or like falling basically. And so he kind of taught me how to like disconnect and not really overthink too much and rather just have fun with it, listen to some good music and use your focus the right way, I guess. Like I always I used to overthink everything, like try to like go through my runs a million times a day before and like do all that shit, but it's really, how to do all that stuff, and it's more important to spend that intense focus when you really need it, and that's really when you're dropping in. There's more about like kind of not thinking about much, just being with your friends and homies and talking shit, and then when it's your turn to drop, kind of you turn on and get into the zone more and really like peak your energy and focus level when you need it to be. So that really helped me for sure. Like started listening to music and was like really so much more relaxed, just talking shit all the time and like really just trying to not think about what I was going to do most of the time, which was way better.
So
even though it sounds weird.
You have that conversation with Torstein because you were saying you weren't doing so good. You have that conversation with Torstein. How did your following seasons go? Did you ride better, and are you like
so much better for sure? Yeah, I was doing so much better. I was so much more comfortable. I wasn't stressing about like I think like the overthinking process just made me stress so much about like, oh, I have to do good now. Like this is my time. Like now I should do good. And then like when it didn't go, like I was just so much more bummed and pissed off. And then just relaxing way more about it all. It just helped so much. And really just not try to not overthink a lot of stuff. And then that was just so much better. And the upcoming seasons were like when I started a podium and like do good and get in some big contests and yeah, it was sick.
Yeah, I'm reading a book right now. It's called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. It was written in like the 40s, and it's
Nice.
the best book ever.
Sick.
I'm only on like the third chapter, but it's like talking about like you can worry yourself to being really sick. And this one
Yeah,
doctor, I mean, like, yes, this was a long time ago, but was saying that half of his patients don't even need to be in the hospital. They're there because they're stressed and they're worried and they put themselves in that state. So
yeah,
I think that like if you're stressed out about your run and you're so worried about how you're going to do, that's going to hinder you in a negative way.
for sure.
And
Yeah,
s-
I
I,
just actually it's funny with the worrying thing you said because I don't remember the movie, but I just watched a movie where they said something that was really cool. If you worry, you suffer twice. And I think that's kind of a really good way of looking at it. Like there's no point of worrying at all.
no, there's none.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's the reason why everybody's attracted to people with like confidence and stuff. There's arrogance, which is just annoying. But people who bleed confidence in what they're doing, they just attract positivity and they get so much out of like when Torstein, I mean, he was on one forever, but
Yeah,
there was no doubt in his mind that he wasn't going to achieve greatness. Therefore, he did. Where a lot of
exactly.
the days that I'm like out in the backcountry and I'm hitting a step down, the days that I just can visualize my trick and I feel good on my snowboard and I feel confident and healthy, I ride so good. And then the days
It
that I'm
flows.
kind of like overthinking things and you got new boots, so you're overthinking the
Mhm.
stiffness, and you just like the worrying and overthinking just destroys people's like ability to achieve their own like greatness and whatever they're trying to achieve. So that's
100%.
rad. That's great advice from
Yeah,
Torstein. I
yeah,
mean, he must have channeled that from an early age because when I first saw him come to COC when he was still on Rome, he was just on a different level. Like he was just one of those guys that was just better than everybody, and
yeah,
you could just see it. And I like how you were like, "There's something that I can extract from Torstein that I need
yeah,
because I
yeah.
don't have that, and I need." And that's really smart of you to give him a call and kind of that conversation probably changed the course of well your life and your snowboard career for sure. I mean, what you've accomplished in the last couple of years has been wild to watch as somebody who has been a big fan. And maybe we could take this back to when I first met you, when I was riding for DC. We were
Yes, sir.
Mammoth. We were doing like a shoot. We had like everybody there, and it was after Superpark, and me and my friend Logan had watched you ride at Superpark. Um, let's hear you touch on like attending Superpark for your first time and how young of a child you were at that event. That was
Yeah,
badass.
Super Park was an insane event. Like I just felt so small though at the time. Of course, I was small, but also just like Super Park was always the place you went and just it was to me like way and like looking back at it, like Super Park is so or it can be, which is great because it can be so intense because it's like the biggest stuff you'll ever hit. And it's just like the gnarliest guys you'll ever meet on a board. And everyone's just going crazy. End of the season, no one feels like they have anything to lose and just like letting go. So to me, like to come out to the States for one, like I've been to the States a couple times before that, I remember, but like that was but definitely like the biggest setting I've been in at the time. And it was just like mind blowing, just looking at everyone going insane, you know, and it was so fun to ride and be a part of that. And so such a big inspiration. So it was really cool for, you know, Nick Olson to bring me out and take care of me that way. He was a boss and super sick to like be part of that crew and be brought into that whole dynamic was definitely just a huge dream. So really just kind of made an impression on me. And wants you to go even harder, and all that stuff that's kind of behind the scenes also of those events are so sick, because it's so social. Like, we had so much fun. I remember, like, I was there with one other young Norwegian, Ole Christian, and it was insane, dude. We just got our minds blown that week.
Oh man, I got one little story here. I remember, like, you, me, Bittner, I think Torstein, Teeny, everybody, Larry, I think, was there, Ika was there, and we're staying at Mammoth, and Deadlung was there, and we're like, and Justin Fronius, and you, me, Deadlung, Fronius, Logan, we're playing golf inside of the hotel.
Very true. Yeah. That was so fun, dude.
I
We
remember,
had this, I remember that. We
yeah.
had, like, tried to not hit the side of the walls, and then whoever hit the side of the wall, like, if you didn't, the other team had the shotgun or whatever it was. But it was so fun, dude.
Who was standing out to you back in the day when you came to, overseas, and you go to Mammoth and you go to Superpark? Who was somebody that maybe you hadn't heard of that was crushing it, and you're like, damn, this homie is good?
Well, I remember, like, of course I did pay extra attention to the DC team, and I remember, like, knowing all the guys and crushing on them, like, they're the guys, like, I've always watched their stuff, and I was so blown away. And I remember really, like, Lowry, like, really kind of killed it. I remember, like, he was going on some big stuff, was, like, riding aggressively, and I think he was just riding really sick at the time, and so stoked to watch that guy riding live. And I remember I was really stoked on watching him, for sure.
I'm a huge fan of Lowry. I mean, I grew up in the era of his video games part, which put him on the map when he was on Forum. And if I was his team manager at the time, if I was Nick or whatever, what I would have said to him, because me as an outsider, I was always like, I liked his rail riding, liked it. Like, it was sick, but his jumping was something special. Like, his style on jumps, he just had it. So I wish that Lowry just kept the, like, Whistler backcountry vibe going, rather than the cooking with gas thing was awesome. I get that they get to travel around as a friend group, but I just think that Lowry's jump style was something special. And I think that if he utilized that more, like, seeing Lowry do a front 9 Indy or a front 7 tail or switchback 5 was just like, he had the it factor. And I would have liked to squeeze a couple more years out of Lowry to see him kind of, like, push the backcountry envelope a little bit more, because he just had it.
For sure. I totally agree. He was so sick, dude. I remember the first time I met, like, I was brought on a trip with DC when I was 13, and I was brought to France, Chamonix, and, like, Norwegian rep, like, brought me to, like, the sales meeting or whatever for, like, the whole global. And I remember, like, Ika was there, Lowry was there, Torstein, Aaron Bittner, like, that whole crew. And I didn't even know they were going there. And it was the sickest thing ever. And that was when I was, like, really mind blown. And that I could join that and be a part of that was so sick. So that was, like, after being sponsored by DC a year in Norway, and this Norwegian dude really took care of me and brought me along, and Nick was down. So that was insane watching those guys ride live for the first time. I remember it's just mind blowing.
Totally. And seeing that personality and, like, family vibe within a team as a young kid is always, like, so impactful. At least it was for me. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm imagining, like, young Mons going on a trip with the DC kind of Mountain Lab team. It's like, dude, Mountain Lab was everybody's favorite movie back then. And if you're the
100%.
young kid who gets to go and ride with all of those those vets, it's like, and then seeing how they like all hang out with each other, you're like, the dynamic was so on point. I mean, they have that over at Vans now, and I see other companies, K2, a lot of the brands I ride for are doing a really good job of like curating like a fun family vibe. And I mean, there's lots of other brands that do that too. And I think that's really something special, especially when you're kind of integrating the younger AMs onto that team
For
to
sure.
see like why are we all actually here? It's
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
we're all here because snowboarding is just fun. So let's like and if you can kind of hit that out of the
100%.
park, it definitely changes the course of many young youth boarders.
Yeah.
Look at yourself. All right, let's take us through Mons's first major contest. Do you remember it? Where was it? Let's go through like kind of the setting and what was in your young, stressed out head.
Dude, yeah, probably. I remember what I remember really well is like the first contest big contest I podiumed on, and it was kind of a lucky timing, you could call it, because it was the same time as Olympics in Sochi, which I was not in. So, but Locks Open was at the same time, which is like the sickest contest. And so there were no Olympians there, you know, so all the best guys were out. And I was like maybe 16 or something. Maybe no, I don't know. No, older. Wait, like 17, 18 or something, 17, 18 at the time. And that's when they had like pre-qualifiers, qualifiers, semifinals, and finals. So it was this like intense week of battling through all those chapters and got to finals, and I ended up on third place on a fully Norwegian podium with Alec Ostreng on second and then Brage on first. And there's just the sickest experience, like mind-blowing. Of course, it was good timing with all like the best dudes not there, but still I got my first big podium and like partied my ass off in Switzerland and just kind of, yeah, had so much fun. It was insane.
Out of curiosity, what was your run?
It was on the I remember the jumps. I don't remember the rail. Oh yeah, rail setup was it was cab one, back three, and then over to the other side it was like front one, switch back three, going back to back, and then switch blunt 270, back blunt 270 into a switch backside 10, cab 9, front 10. And that did it. I was so stoked. Best round I've landed at the time, and just double claimer, hands in the air, just so stoked. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because I feel like, I mean, it's crazy to hear that run and then just seeing you at the most recent Olympics and where snowboarding and tricks and expectation from the best has come over 10 years. It's absolutely insane how fast the things are progressing. But you've been in the contest game for like 10 years. What's the faux pas? What's like the don't do rail tricks nowadays? Like, is there like a couple tricks that like collectively the contest world is like, damn, that homie's still doing that trick? That trick's kind of like that's like dated and you don't do that trick anymore. And
There
same
for
for
sure.
jumping. Are there a couple like jump tricks and rail tricks that people just shouldn't do? That people,
yeah, I guess I don't know. There's like, for sure there are, and like, I don't know. In my opinion, like, yeah, I remember there's I don't know, like people are so crazy good nowadays, and like before, I remember after like the cab double 9 was done for a couple of years, and then people started doing like cab 9s and like 10s better and way cooler. Like everyone was like looking at people like they were crazy for doing cab double 9s still, and that was like so clear and like very easy to point at and be like, that you shouldn't do that. But I don't know if there's any like big don'ts today. Personally, just a big fan of guys. Personally, just a big fan of guys that are going at it at the rails as well as the jumps. Like, I feel like it's very easy these days to just kind of get through the rails and then get to the jumps and just let loose, kind of. And I really look at the guys going ham on the rails, and then like, it's, to me, it's supposed to be, when you ride slopestyle, it's supposed to be 50-50. Like, rails are just as important as jumps, and I think that's important part of it, just like not safing your way through the rails to get to the jumps.
Well said.
Yeah.
And it's like these people that are getting through the rails and just going ham on the jumps. It's like they think they're fooling somebody. It's like it's like, yo, that front 2.7 sucked, or like a 180 or a 180 switch 50-50 cab 3. Like, I'm like, oh damn, this homie does not ride the steel. Like Mikkel Bang used to start his slope style contest off with a switchback lip. And you're
so
like,
baller.
and you're like that, and then go into his like switchback 9 or switchback 12. And I'm like,
yeah,
take notes. Like, that is so or at least not gapping the whole rail to like just tapping. Like, the gap front 2.7 will never not be a sick trick, or a back 270.
Yeah.
But it's how you do it, and it's wild.
For sure. If you catch it on the top of the kink, it's the sickest trick, and you just show that you have control. But that definitely the gapping part of it, and I think that's the thing that judging right now is at a hard, kind of at a weird place where they like can't decide what to judge, right? And it's so frustrating often as riders, and us looking at people doing an insane rail that is so long. The trick's not maybe the hardest, but like, you wouldn't make that trick like 2 out of 10 times, you know, and because the rail is just so long, or the option or the transfer or whatever, and then they just get shit scored because they only did a transfer board slide, but that was board slide was like 20 meters long, you know.
Totally.
And that's the stuff that needs to be appreciated more, and like the technical difficulty of stuff more than, I guess spinning is also technical, but if you do it to a tap, it's just like there's no point really, and should be the rail full on, like full out. That should be the biggest aspect to me.
I'm gonna give some shout outs here to my boy Sebastian Touton with the he back one, switchback one, like however you want to talk about his style, whatever, it's not for you.
Oh yeah, he's killing.
Starting off your run on a long down rail and doing a back one, switchback one.
Insane.
It's like, what?
Nerves of
like,
steel.
Yeah,
dude. Like,
dude.
Imagine dropping into the Olympics and thinking like, that's going to be my first trick to start it off.
Exactly.
Insane.
Okay.
That's insane. Like, yeah, for me, I guess that's kind of been my, I don't default. Like, that's kind of a cheat code I have, is that I try to like start my run with an easy rail trick, because then I don't have to worry. Like, if I worry about the first rail too much, because I know I'll make it 50% of the time, then I'd be like stressing out too much. But if I know I got the first rail tricks, because you kind of go like, your head kind of goes just zombie after you drop in, so, or at least after you do the first feature. So like, if you just get to start your run and then you're in it, you're really not thinking at all, you're just going like autopilot. So I feel like if I got a rail trick on the first rail that I feel very comfortable with, then I often do good, because then I just like cruise, like I start my run and get my nerves out, and then we're in it, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, and you can see that as a viewer who watches you. It's like, if you link your first, your first down rail, and then there's the gap 270, and your first 2 features are solid and you did them very well, you can see in the rider the momentum building and the confidence. Right. And you can almost see when someone's about to put down their best run. You're like, oh, this fucking homie is on one right now. Like, and so I understand, and you want to go with some sort of strategy, I'm imagining, especially depending on what's happening before or after you, if McMorris is before or after, all those things come into play. But if I was in the contest game and if I was a judge, I mean, a lip slide to regular on a long down rail is, to me, a way higher score than a gap 270 or 450 where you're tapping. It's like that's control.
For
So
sure.
I just feel, and actually, who cares about how I feel? I don't ride these contests. Let's get, how do you
No,
feel
a lot of people
about,
care about how you feel, Jody.
how do you feel about the judging right now? Where do you think it's lacking the most, or like where do you think that it's on point? Do you feel like it's what do you think about judging right now?
It's a very hard subject. I guess we could talk so much about. And it's hard to put your finger on it. And what's been frustrating, I feel like, is that there's no really continuity to it. There's like, you could go to one contest and let's say bigger because it's easier to compare and whatever. And you can go there and like a 1440 will get you that amount of points. But the next contest, it will be like so much higher, so much lower. And there'll be like changing the kind of scoring and how they do it all the time. And it's so frustrating because you can never kind of really get a grip on what they think. And I think they get so much shit as well from everyone left and right. So they're so confused themselves sometimes at least. And it's hard though. Like I was judging at a couple like kids contests last year, end of the season. And it's freaking like I was at nationals and judge too, and it's freaking hard, like watching 50 people do the same kind of lines and runs and tricks and then try to remember and compare and all that. Like I totally get that mistakes are made for sure, but it's just, I don't know, at that level it should be kind of known what score, what trick would score, like at least within some range kind of thing. And it's just too much, I don't know, flexibility right now where you don't really know where you're going to end up, even if you know you should be in or whatever. So it's hard to put your finger on like exactly where it's lacking or killing it, I guess, because sometimes it could and sometimes it's not. What I'm thinking is just, and yeah, if you do contests in snowboarding, you're going to get, judged, and that's just something you have to accept. And what I've thought about it all the time is just like, if you're constantly doing well or riding well, you will, okay, so let's say sometimes you will get judged out of a podium or out of a finals, but you will get judged in more times than you will just judged. Then you will be judged out because you're just constantly riding good. And you could tell by like the best riders, like look at how like Mark and Red, those are probably the most like consistent good riders, and they're on the podium all the time. Okay, sometimes they get like shit judged and sometimes they get like overpaid, but everybody does. And like, if as long as you're just constantly doing well and doing that all the time, you will, get what you deserve. So as long as you're not a one-hit wonder, you'll get it back, I guess.
Totally. Consistency.
Yeah, consistency is key.
That's big time. I like that. I will say that judging, sometimes I watch the Big Air and I'm just like, who cares? To me, I'm like, I don't know who any of these judges are.
Yeah.
And maybe some of these judges actually have credentials. And if I was to go back and they were in like some old Kingpin movies and they have like some sort of legitness to them, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming most of them don't. And some of the judging has been horrendous, especially as I get older and I'm such a fan of watching all avenues of snowboarding that I'm like, a Big Air contest is easy to judge, at least in my eyes, because you hit it once, it's consistent, you're in the same position watching the jump, so you can see the pop, you can see if they're going deep, and then you can see the style, which you can clearly tell that some of these judges just don't know the difference from like you catching like a switchback 16 on your toes and you go halfway down the landing and you can see the style and the flavor on that toe edge catch. They just like, I'm just like blown away. But I will give them some buffing room on judging a slope style, because depending on where they're sitting, they only have so many screens. And so it's like that would be really hard to judge live. Like the more I kind of looked into how the judging was done with Max Perot missing his grab at the Olympics, the more I actually kind of sympathized with them, because I was like, the rest of his run was flawless. It's like they missed the grab, but it's like depending on the angle they got delivered, it's like, and then they have to put out the score because it's in real time. I don't know. Like, how did you feel about when Max's score came on the screen? Being an athlete, did you see that he missed the grab, or are you too focused in the contest? And what did you think afterwards?
Yeah, so in the moment, I didn't pay attention at all. It's kind of one of the things where what I've done over the years is like I don't really watch other dudes go in like true time contest. I just listen to music and go talk to some homies or whatever. So I didn't get to see that, and I had no clue at the time. So watching it after, it was like, then of course you can be like, you can always, it's easy to be wise after the facts happened, you know, like, so looking at the clip and you get it in slow-mo and you can see he's missing or whatever. And then you kind of get shocked about it all, like how that could happen. And so it was definitely a crazy moment. And what really did it for me, because I watched that in real time, was the pipe contest. And I remember we were all in the bus going to big air practice, watching the pipe contest, and we were just losing our minds over the pipe contest, because after Scotty James landed his run and went into first place, we just couldn't believe it, because it was just like they just put him over the best run landed of all time. You know, did I lose you?
No, not at all. I'm just I'm working on not interrupting my guests, and I think all my viewers right now are like, damn, he's doing such a good job.
Yeah, you're killing it. And then
no.
So we were on the bus on their way to big air practice at the Olympics, and watching the pipe finals in real time, and that was just mind-blowing, because the slopestyle judging air just went down. It was very heated, you know, about judging and all that discussion. And then we watched pipe, and Ayumu just landed like the best run of all time in the pipe, and then Scotty James lands an insane run also. But in my opinion, and a lot of other opinions, was that Ayumu's was still definitely better, and they put Scotty in first over Ayumu, and we just couldn't kind of believe it. And then putting all that pressure on Ayumu, and he just goes and did it like same run, even better, even higher, even steezier. Like it was insane. I feel like the judges really got lucky on that one, because after that, I think if Ayumu didn't land that last run, I think it was definitely heated before, and it would have gone off after, I think.
What about the pipe one was like, well, the pipe one was really a big screw up. And then you had the missed grab by Max during the slope style. Let's go big air, where you podiumed silver. Let's talk about that event. Let's talk about, like, what did you think of the jump? The riding that was going down, the level of riding, and was there any judging at that event? Kind of take us through the day there, because I feel like that's a special day for you, dog. You killed it.
Yeah, for sure. It was an insane day. The jump was actually super, super good. It's this ridiculous, massive. You can't even call it a scaffolding jump, because it's not a scaffolding. It's a building. It's a skyscraper, and it's just like the most insane thing. And they really killed it with the snow and everything. The jump was super good, and yeah, that day was just insane. The whole day from beginning to end. I just kind of, it was one of those days you talked about where you just strap in and you feel good, you feel confident, you're like, nothing really feels off place, or like everything's where it should be. And all like my practice runs, I was doing exactly what I wanted to, getting the right feeling, and just feeling super confident at the time, and had a lot of fun. And when the contest started, I like kind of got a dream situation where I landed my first run, and which was my biggest trick, and was super stoked on how, like, probably the best front 18 I've ever done. And I just learned it that year. So it's just like my head already was going off. Like I was, after landing that, I was like, kind of like, yep, I'm good. I'm happy. Like I did what I wanted to do, but I had to do one more trick. And that that was a trick. I also kind of like, it was all on the like super clutch. I learned backside 16s in slope style practice before slope finals at the Olympics. And so going into big air, I was like, because I kind of knew what I wanted to do before the Olympics in big air and slope. And I was like, yeah, okay, I have to learn back 16s in the slope because that's what I have to do on the big air to podium. Like I kind of knew that. And so when I got into big air, I was like, I'd done like a couple back 16s in slope, which went really well. But they were on like the crooked jump. And that kind of the crooked jump kind of puts you really nice into like back 9s, 12s, 16s. Like it pushes you in that direction more than going like over your toes to like a 10 or 14. So when I did it on like the regular jump at the big air, it was like harder to get right for me. So like in practice, I hadn't really landed one. And then in finals, I laced both my 2 like runs where I did it. Like first one I did after the front 18, I landed, but I was like kind of toe heavy, both hands down. So I got scored a bit low, which was totally fair. I was kind of bummed on my score on the front 18, to be honest, but it was fine because when I landed the last one, I kind of feel like they gave it back and scored me pretty high on like my last back 16, which I was super soaked on, and got me up to second. I was just up top, like kind of trying to push all the negative thoughts out because I was sitting in second place until like the last 2 guys before me dropped, which was Red and Hero. They bumped me down to like 5th, and then I knew like it was only me and Ming up top because we like the order was all racked after first 2 laps where I was sitting in second. So in my head I was like, damn, I could actually drop in and have a medal, be insane, but then I didn't, so I was so stressed. And then all that just made it feel so much better though when you're so nervous. You know how it is, like if you're going into something sketchy or you're nervous or like feels insane to do and then you lace it, it just like is the craziest feeling ever. And then at that stage it was just insane, like explosions of feelings and everything. So I really didn't think about second. I was like in my head trying to get on the podium, and I saw that it was like 1.5 point splitting me from the podium, and I knew I could do that. But then yeah, I got scored pretty well in the back 16, so I was sick.
Did anyone get scored really poorly, and did you feel bad for them? Or do you feel like the judging during the finals of the big air at the Olympics was pretty just?
Dude, it's so hard because you can't really find the broadcast anywhere because they have all the rights, like the IOC and everything. So I haven't rewatched the finals, which is a bummer. But from what I got, like again, I try not to like pay attention to others when I'm in the contest scene and be by myself. But from what I've like heard and got out of it, I think it was pretty fair because the guys on the podium, we were the only ones that did like an 18 and a 16 or more. And the others did like 2 16s or an 18 and a 14, you know? So I in that aspect, like, I think at least like top 3 was correct. From what I got from it.
What does it look like when you're dropping in and you look over and there's a 17-year-old Su Ying Ming or whatever? Is that Su Ying Ming? What's it?
Yeah, Su Yiming. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's 17 and homie is
Insane.
on one. Like how,
Oh, yeah.
like before it used
And
to be
homie
like,
just
yeah, it does an 18. And it's like when I was growing up, the best snowboarders in videos were the best snowboarders riding in the contest scene. And then they both the contest scene got so leveled up and video parts got so leveled up that it was pretty much impossible to do both. And now it's just like, in order to do an 1800, there ain't no way you're telling me that you don't practice like some crazy ass shit. Like the air awareness you must have to do an 18, like that is no joke. And this kid shows up out of nowhere, bat out of hell, and wins gold.
Insane, dude. Ridiculous. And yeah, that was so crazy to me. It was insane. And yeah, he was really freaking on one for sure. It was crazy, dude. Came out of kind of nowhere and just was swinging.
did you enjoy your time at the Olympics? This one was, I'm imagining, pretty good for you because you go home with a silver. Let's be honest here. Did it eat you alive that you didn't go home with a gold? Were you excited about the silver? I know that the year before at the Olympics, you were going home with an injury.
Yeah.
So
No, I was so stoked to go home with a silver for sure. I kind of didn't expect it to be in big air though. I had my kind of hopes set on slopestyle and was where I felt the strongest. And so I was kind of bummed to not do really well there, but shit happens, and then got into big air and got out of that, which was insane with a medal for sure. So I was just super hyped. And but being there though was kind of crazy. It was like not what I as a kid at least expected the Olympics to be. And of course it was a pandemic, so it was really crazy because of that. But you had to eat in basically cubicles with plexiglass on your sides and fronts. You couldn't talk to anyone, and just masks everywhere, and it was freezing cold, crazy cold. And first week of the Olympics, during the full slopestyle contest, I was in isolation because I sat 2 rows behind someone that got COVID on my flight. And so full slope contest, I was and only in my room for the whole week, and got food to my door and everything, and couldn't go out, couldn't hang out with anyone, couldn't even take the lift up with anyone when I was riding, which was mental, dude. Riding by yourself in the craziest contest. We had no coach with us because he got COVID, so he couldn't even travel there. So I was by myself in the lift, telling myself, "This is, oh, you're good, we're chilling. It doesn't suck at all." Just listen to music, trying to hype yourself up, and it's just the most horrifying thing ever. So that wasn't very fun for sure. That was kind of shitty. It was the most mental couple of weeks I've ever had for sure, and definitely felt that after big air. Then when I was kind of finally could take a breath and was exhausted in my head after trying to convince myself, I was chilling the whole time.
Everything is fine.
Seriously,
Looking at the big air
on repeat.
It looked like a power plant was it looks like you guys were in the beginning of the Simpsons episode where Homer works at a power plant. It looked I'm what the hell is the venue looked crazy.
Insane menu.
Yeah. What was the country
Ridiculous.
Would you go back, or was it crazy, or China? What was it like?
Dude, we didn't get to experience anything of China. You're in the Olympics kind of facility city where it's just Olympians, and you can't go outside, you can't go grocery store or anything, so it's just all in that village, and it was super strict, and you really couldn't do anything, which was kind of crazy, and it was a bummer for sure because you wanted to go be social, but at the same time don't want to get COVID. But you got tested twice a day there or whatever, at least once a day, but I got tested twice the first week. So that was probably the safest place wherever you could be, because everyone's just got tested all the time. But it was definitely not the most exciting I guess contest for sure, because it was just you were just so isolated, so by yourself, and didn't feel like a good snowboarding trip, but of course when you go out of there with a medal, I'm not going to complain at all. I had a freaking blast after that, and it's all nothing to complain about for sure.
Yeah, going home.
It is weird though. It is freaking weird. It's not what you hear about, the Olympics, of big world kind of coming together party time, all sports united, but it's just everyone by themselves. And so not the coolest.
Are you going to try to go to the next Olympics?
I am, yeah. That's I'm really excited to do that, because it's going to be back in Europe, and it hasn't been in so long. And Italy, it's going to be in Italy, and I think that's going to be hopefully what I've always heard about, because like you said, the last Olympics in Korea, I just got broken off the first week right before finals, and I really didn't get to experience any of it. Had to go home.
Take us through that. you get broke off at the Olympics. How, like,
Yeah, that sucked.
would you consider that potentially your worst performance? And
Yeah,
how
that was the shittiest experience I've had for sure. Like I was riding really well. And practice I qualified, and it was so sick because all 4 Norwegians qualified for finals. So me, Torgeir, Stala, and Marcus Cleveland were all in finals. So we were just frothing, super hyped, and going into practice and finals feeling really good. And like all the runs I didn't put one hand down in practice, was like feeling it, was going like crazy in my head, like trying to get hyped, and then like just not paying attention. I clipped my tail doing it back to hardway 270 onto the rail. And then I like, dude, the rails there was so tall and they were so gnarly, and it was icy, like crazy icy. So I landed board slide on the rail, got around to 270, but I landed so like forward lean heavy. So when I like go off the rail, my nose like slips down and hooks in the snow, and I just like get catapulted down and just crashed super hard on my shoulder, and got a super nice AC like separation. This thing is like pretty solid still. And
damn.
broke my sternum and like some ribs, so got like a really compressed over the shoulders. So that's really sucked, but it was just more of a heartbreaking moment where I just realized like that was it. Like I definitely, like right away I felt like, fuck yeah, I'm done, like gotta go home. So that was just a shitty moment. Like as a kid, I always wanted to do the Olympics and go there and do good, and then I just got sent home, which was a bummer, but made the silver medal at this Olympics, even sweeter, and was super pumped to finally do well there.
Well, that must feel insane. I mean, I'm imagining at like the young Mons, you get completely broke off at the Olympics, knowing every person, every team manager is like watching you. I would just go home, turn on the shower, turn off the lights,
Sit
turn on some
down.
Our Lady piece, and just cry in the shower. That I do that in the backcountry, like not actually cry in the shower, but like, dude, I have a bat, like, because you visualize this like successful performance on whatever, like, we set up a
Sure.
jump the day before, and you're like, damn, I want to like get a back 5 on this or something like that, and then you do everything right, but one little thing goes wrong, and then you're just broke off, and you're just down in the dumps.
Yeah.
How do you pick yourself up? Like, are you pretty good now? If there's a bump on the road, getting over that pretty quick? Was there a
I
time
feel like
in your
that.
life-
Yeah. Now I feel like, yeah, now I'm way better after like injuring myself a couple of times. Then you definitely learn how to cope, and like after you just hurt yourself, you're like, what can you do? Like we said, like if you worry, you suffer twice. There's no really point. If you're broke off, you're just like, okay. It's definitely, I feel like you're allowed to be bummed, and you're allowed to like be pissed off for a little bit, and then like get back to yourself, and kind of just give your head some time to take a break. And for me, the rehab processes also have been like a really good thing, because for me it's been a way of appreciating snowboarding so much. Like I fucking just love snowboarding so much, and when I can't snowboard and get injured like that, and you have to be in a gym rehab all the time for months on end, then you just go crazy, and you just realize how much you love snowboarding and how much you appreciate just doing turns, and that's just a crazy thing to experience. So I think rehabs have also really helped for sure. They've given me so much motivation to not get broken off again, and like not get wrecked, and if you do, that you're going to get so stoked on snowboarding. So that's kind of been the motivator if you get injured. But so for me, the process have been pretty nice though. Like going back, then you just get, when you finally get back on your board, you just appreciate it so much, take nothing for granted, and you're just so stoked to be on your board and feeling healthy. So that's kind of something to take away from it, and where my head goes.
Do you feel that you would continue to ride contests if you had the option to quit fully and have your sponsors and the full support, going into like riding video parts? Do you feel like you've been pushed into Mons the contest rider because you've kind of committed to that avenue? And do you kind of feel like you're missing out on filming video parts and that whole side of snowboarding, or are you content just riding in the contest? Like, do you feel like you would like to dive more into the video part world? Because I've know you've dabbled before with DC and stuff, and just as a fan of the video part world and seeing you in the backcountry, it's something that I really like. And is there anything that's kind of holding you back from doing that? Or
No, yeah, definitely. I can start off by saying I really like doing a lot of contests, and I think they keep me on point, you know, to keep me pushing and keep me like going forward in a way of my level of riding, and as far as like pushing the level goes. But at the same time, I really want to get more into filming and spend way more time there, and that's kind of my time frame right now. Has been like the next 2 years I want to do like less contests, like pick the ones I want to do and I think that are cool and film more, and then like getting closer to the next Olympics, getting full on into it again, you know, to do that. So I definitely want to film more. I definitely want to spend more time in Whistler. My plan is to go there, hopefully spend like a month or two there this year, and travel a bit in Europe and try to just start that route a little bit and start that path of filming more. I really want to get into that for sure.
do you feel like the reason why you do contests is because that's where the success and the financial support lies? Like, let's say you didn't need to ride contests because you win the lottery. Are you still going to want to do contests? Does that like fill your soul, or would you just go ride POW? Like,
Lottery ticket on the line. Okay. I don't know. I will say though, like the craziest feeling I've ever had was landing that last run at the Olympics. And like the second craziest feeling I've ever had in my life was landing my last run at X Games and doing well there, like landing my best run ever in slope. And because it just, you put so much pressure on yourself, which kind of sucks, but then you like overcome that, which is an insane feeling. It's like, I guess, putting all the drugs in at the same time. You just like, your head just explodes. It's insane. And so that's very, very, I don't know, rewarding in a way, but at the same time, it's the constant battle and craziness of it all is not the most fun for sure. But it's at the same time, like, I don't think anything, if you do it to the point where you want to like push yourself and be the best you can, I don't think anything can be fun all the time, you know. I've heard someone say like the rule of thirds in a way, where like a third of the time it's just awesome, so fun, a third time it's just all right, and a third time it kind of sucks. And that's where when you push yourself to like the kind of right limit to still have fun with it, but also like get better at a thing. So I think it's definitely fun, and it's definitely rewarding, and all that. But I guess if I had a lottery ticket, I would for sure go stay way more in the backcountry. Like I think I'd go get a place in Whistler, get a truck and sled and all that, and just post up for a couple of years and just go full ham in the backcountry and have so much fun, become a sled neck, you know, living the dream like you guys do over there. It seems so nice, and I really enjoy. Like, it's been a mind-blowing experience going out with Torstein and Ika and those guys in the backcountry over there, and seeing all the spots that I've seen you guys ride for years, and like going over there and seeing the time and the crazy and the gnarliness that goes into that stuff. It's insane. And it's so sick because you feel like there's a new aspect of snowboarding that you just haven't tapped into, and that is so new, but you're good at snowboarding, but you feel so small, you know. It's insane. We're up in the mountains and just like doing tiny lines, and then you just can't realize where you are because you didn't pay attention well enough from the bottom, and like stuff like that, which you'd never think about when you just haven't been out there yourself, but you just watch people or watch edits or, full parts. And it's just something I really admire and respect and want to do more of. So I think the lottery ticket in hand would make me go ride some deep snow for sure.
Well, I would love to see some of your spins in the backcountry on a step down. Oh,
I'd love to do that.
a
I talked
Mons,
to
Mons front
Mikey
three.
Cicerelli of bringing me out. I talked to him lately of bringing me out in the backcountry. Let's try to make some big step downs and some cool features. Be sick.
Oh, yeah, the one thing that I will say is I grew up in the era where we used to make fun of contest riders because they would sacrifice their style to win events.
Yeah.
But it's getting to the point now, like we used to be like, oh yeah, but they don't have a sick back 180. Every contest rider now has, for the most part, not all of them, but some like the best. They do a good job of representing snowboarding. They really do.
That's
like
sick.
you go down the run, Mark goes down the run, Red Gerard goes down the run, whoever, you know what I mean? It's like they do a stale fish, they do a method, they do the front three, a switchback 5. It's like, come on, tell me that that's not style. You know what I mean? There's no scrub on the takeoff, full pop. The contest scene right now is doing snowboarding proud in the style element, and it's nice because I know all of those people personally, and they hold the video part and what I love doing in such high regard, and they have that like mutual respect. Like I think that that contest scene versus contest scene versus video part rider has gotten to a point where they both like appreciate each other, and it's nice to like dabble in both. Like most people do grow up riding contests, you know what I mean? Even I did. And it's fun, but at one point you either figure out if you're good at it or you suck at it, or if you can handle the pressure, or if you can't. And for me personally, it's just I never could handle the pressure, and I never enjoyed the person I would become at those events. I hated that feeling and everything like that. So I branched off early. But let's say I got a couple W's. I got a little bit of cash, a couple 10 grands, you know what I mean? Like,
motivation just stacks up.
And then you get put into this really special thing where you are riding with the best snowboarders in the world. And if you surround yourself with the best of the best, you push your riding to levels you never thought you could ever achieve. Like, tell me, 10 years ago, Mons would think that you'd be where you are now. It's like doing 1800s and winning silvers at the Olympics. Like, come on, it's crazy what everyone can achieve if you surround yourself with the best. It's definitely. Like, do you attest that you've kind of reached greatness through who you snowboard with?
For sure. And I think a lot of the reasons why I have become a decent snowboarder is because I've been so lucky with the team that I've been traveling with. Like the Norwegian team has been stacked from the day I was like 10 years old. It's been insane. There's always been big motivation and idols there. And like when I got on the team, you had like insane team with Ulrich and Torstein and Alec and Stale and Torger and like Jurman and like all these insane snowboarders, where when I got a bit older, we got like Marcus Cleveland, and I've always been surrounded by like the best of the best. I feel like, even though it was just the Norwegian team, and I guess feeling always like that there's someone really close to you pushing and being really, really good has helped me a lot. For sure. I think, like you said, surrounding yourself with the best, learning, like, I feel like the only time, I don't know, to get inspiration from people you ride with is how you learn these days, so it's, if you're around the best dudes, you're definitely learning no matter what. And you can just learn by watching, really. Like, it's so fun to watch insane snowboarders no matter what they do, and like you said, I think it's really sick, the mutual respect and that a lot of people have, of all aspects of snowboarding. And I respect everything in snowboarding so much. Like, you got the most insane street guys, you got the most insane power guys doing lines or jumps or like whatever, but everything is so technical and so much respect. And I feel like it's really nice to hear that you also saying that some of this slope dudes also are doing a good job of representing some style. That's awesome. And it's so fun. I don't know, we're not trying to just spin, trying to have some
Totally.
fun too,
That's the thing. Is I can see that.
The love of snowboarding is just so high, and that's what's bringing everyone together.
I mean, you got to fuel your fire. You know what I mean? It's like my avenue is my avenue because of the people I looked up to.
Yeah.
Young Mons idolized Torstein. Like, I idolized, Mark Frank and Mikey LeBlanc and Daryl Mathis and whoever, and Simone Chamberlain and Danny Cass, and I could go on forever. But those people all in their own right shaped who I am today. And they ever did was film video parts and do cool 360s and 720s and lip slides. You know what I mean? I was just like, so that's just who I became. I was like, this is what I'm into. And if young Mons is riding beside, dude, Alec is one of the best snowboarders in the world. Like, you get to ride beside Alec and Torstein in their prime. Like, oh my God, dude. And the Andreas Wig, and just like the mentors and the people you have surrounded yourself in Norway are like freak of nature talent. Where I think a lot of the people I looked up to weren't necessarily the best snowboarder by any means. They just did it in a way that seemed intriguing. And I mean, yeah.
Which it is, like, we're just so sick, and you can tell today too, there's some guys that won't ever like do a 1080, but they're probably like one of the most exciting people to watch. Like, that's so sick about snowboarding. You can do really whatever you want. There will always be like space for you in snowboarding to do whatever you want. And as like, people are just getting unique these days with like, you could be just style or doing sick 360. It doesn't need to be an 1800. Like, I think these days, if you like post a clip of an insane 360, I think that gets more attention than an 18 these days, because people just can't relate, and it's not that interesting anymore for a lot of people. But it's still like just ridiculously insane. But you just don't really. I'm just saying, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm probably just saying that for me, that's not all it is. It's not all just spinning and winning and doing contests. It's more the whole part of it. Everything in snowboarding, it's just so fun.
I mean, what we do in a way is the most unauthentic thing in snowboarding. It's like, I film video parts to hopefully inspire the next generation to fall in love with snowboarding and stuff. But selfishly, there's hopefully some sort of compensation and whatever else comes with that. And same with video parts. When you see the average Joes just going up that work a 9-to-5 job to go snowboarding on the weekend, and they're not doing it for anything but just shredding, I'm like, looking at the older I get, I'm like, this homie has had it figured out since day one.
Exactly.
I mean, the more and the bigger you get, I talked to Kuzik about this, good friend of mine and somebody I really look up to. The bigger he got with even companies like Vans and K2, etc., he's like, the less I got to snowboard, really. It's just like traveling. And then like, once you travel, it's like you're looking for spots to film on, and it's like you're snowboarding so much less. And I live in Whistler, where so many people work their ass off for 8 months so they can snowboard for 4 months full time. And I'm like, damn, like, then they're not doing it to get filmed or build an Instagram following or have stupid people on TikTok follow them. It's like the most like truthful, authentic snowboarding. And I look at them with the most utmost respect. I'm like, and it's those people that watch the Olympics and come to the premieres that are the real beauty of snowboarding. You know what I mean? It's the guy in the back row that showed up to the premiere that's just there for the fucking pure love of boarding. Like, fuck,
So
that's sick.
sick, dude.
It's even just me saying that, the more I'm like thinking about that, I'm like, damn, that is like, what am I doing? Like, I gotta win that lottery, dude.
That's a nice mindset to have on top of a like huge step down. What am I
Right?
doing right now? I could just be doing turns and being happy.
Yeah, but there is that thing where no one lives comfortably in their comfort zone. Eventually the comfort zone eats you alive, and it feels good to push yourself out of that. And
Exactly.
I think you, if anybody, knows how good and how addictive it can be to pushing yourself to seeing what Mons is capable of. And I mean, it is ridiculous that you did an 1800. This is fucking insane. Like, when I was a kid, when the 1260 came out, I was like, there ain't no way anybody can spin faster than this, like, ever. And now it's like a 1260 is like somebody's throwaway warm-up run. It's like, do you think people are going to start dying because they spin so fast? Like at what point
Dude, I've honestly thought about that. Like, I feel like snowboarding is getting to the point where, yeah, some people are gonna try to do one more 180 and like spin more, do one more flip or whatever. But it's gonna also get to that point where like people are getting broke off to like, or getting wrecked so bad that they're like, I have to stop. Like, that was it. And like, that's kind of a scary point to get to, you know.
I'm gonna
I feel
knock on some wood quickly here, because I don't want that to happen to anybody. Like,
no,
I love everybody who's pushing the envelope of snowboarding. Good for you. But like, yeah, at one point, I'm imagining you build up so much G-force. You know, we're at quad corks now. Like, what happens
yeah,
when we
dude.
hit
And people are
5 or
just like
6?
and people are just overshooting all the landings on purpose because they need the air time to get around. And it's just kind of crazy because that just makes you slam 4 times harder if you fall. And it's just ridiculous. So it's that, I don't know.
Is there a group of snowboarders that we don't know about that we'll never know about because they're trying to learn triples right now, and they get broke off and then they're just gone? Like,
Dude,
you know what I
could
mean?
be.
Like, there must be so many young kids that are like, I'm going to try a double cork or a triple cork today. And it's like, okay, let me ask you this, 18 triple quads, how much talent and practice should be put into these tricks before you conceive even trying this? If you're an average Joe right now,
Yeah.
you're 21 and you're like, oh man, I really look up to Mons. I want to go try a triple this year. Like, can you tell people to proceed with caution or what?
Yeah, for sure. But I guess like for me too, when I like if I go somewhere and I want to do like a triple cork or whatever, to me it's also scary. Like, it seems so far away when I like look at the jump. I haven't hit it yet, but I know I want to do that trick on it. Then I'm like, damn, that seems fucking crazy. But then you start hitting it and you do like a 360 and you do another 360 and do a 720, whatever, and you like do the whole build up. And then like at one point when you've done like a bunch of 14s or whatever, then you're like, damn, it just seems supernatural now for me to like do another, like try again, like it's just a build up, I think, for me, that does it, that makes you super confident. If you do, it's just a slow build up, don't rush it, I guess. Like, just when you feel comfortable to the point where you're like, it would be so easy to do that 12 again, I can like definitely try 14. Like, that's, I think, the most important part. When I like rush it myself, which I do sometimes, then I like very often get like, I fall or I don't do it right, or like I miss a takeoff or whatever, because I'm just like rushing it instead of like taking the time to build it up right. So I like every trick in my head when I think about it. I guess it's, if you think about a crazy trick or a scary trick, like a new trick, rodeo or whatever, you feel it's uncomfortable, it's always going to feel so far off until you start actually like hitting the jump. And if you hit it enough times, not even doing that trick, you'll get comfortable enough, I think.
What do you think the biggest step was from you? Like, I look at, like, for me, I remember going from, this sounds ridiculous now, but it's the truth. And then no one's gonna be surprised, but like going from a 7 to a 9, like when I was a kid, it was like such a big step.
Yeah.
You're going up to 18s now. switchback 16s and stuff like that, like your staple. What was the biggest step? Like, was there like the 16 to the 18? Was that the biggest step you ever had? Or was it going from like a 10 to a 12?
Yeah,
Or was
I
it
feel
going
like
from like a single fork to a double?
yeah, I think that when I was a kind of a younger kid and I loved snowboarding, but I like didn't, I don't know, didn't know where it was going or whatever, and just was cruising. And then I had a really good like close friend group, the same age as me, that all was so stoked on snowboarding. And that all of a sudden one summer at Folgefonna, we all like started trying doubles. And that was kind of where I felt like was my first or biggest step, going from a switchback 9 to a switchback like double 10. And like that was at the time people were, I don't know, definitely doing some big tricks. But I don't know, I didn't feel, I felt like that put me like not up there, but like getting closer and like more into the big trick league, you know. And going from like a flat 9 to a double cork in my head was insane. And it was just like the craziest feeling, because it really felt like I was, you know, I couldn't see anything, and just like turbulence took over, and I was going crazy, and it felt so sick to be in the air doing a big trick like that. So that was my biggest like step up, I feel like.
Who do you think has pushed snowboarding and the contest scene the most in these last 10 years? Who do you think moved the needle?
Oh, well, yeah, you kind of got to say Mark. Like he's been consistently the best, like almost always on the podium for the last 10 years. It's insane. That guy's just ridiculously talented. Like he has a insane mental game, and his snowboarding is just so good, and just like the nicest guy you'll ever meet as well. And just crazy consistent, you know. So I feel like Mark, over the past, like, because he's still in the contest scene, you know. And there's so many guys that have pushed it, and that are like keep pushing it, and that are worth mentioning. But like if you look at the last 10 years still in the contest game, I think you got to say Mark.
Good pick. And that I would say Mark, and then obviously there's lots of close seconds, but if you think of maybe before Mark, you could throw like a Torstein out there, and then just before Torstein, you got somebody like Andreas Wigg, Edela.
Like Halder was a fun mix in there as well, you know.
Oh,
like
yeah.
The fun aspect in there, and like
Yeah.
the craziness and like the rowdiness of snowboarding in there, and it was just killing it at the time, for sure.
Haldor was so good and so
good.
fun, and his personality bled through his footage, that if you filmed him do anything, the fact that you could just, it was so transparent how much he loved snowboarding, and still does, that he even captivated an audience of like the most core snowboarders who would at that point would never wear like skittle colored DC stuff. And all of my homies were like, everyone fucked with him. They were like, this dude's on some shit. like what a great human.
If you bleeped out his name right there and said the exact same words, I think you could say the same thing. In my head, at least my opinion, you could say the same things about Rene right now. And Rene is just, you know, his personality just bleeds through. He's like the most genuine, insanely nice guy. You'd almost get like curious, like no one could be this nice, but he like just is. He's just genuinely the best guy you'll ever meet. And like his snowboarding is just ridiculous, killing it in the streets and killing it in like park and backcountry. And he's just got, I don't know, it's crazy. His board control, if you go watch him ride live, is just ridiculous. It's the most like proper technique you'll ever see.
I agree. I remember when he first came on the scene, I'll just be honest here, because everybody lies about everything to make everybody happy these days. But I feel like the fundamental, the most important thing in this world is being truthful. So I wasn't a big fan when he came on the scene.
Okay.
And within watching like 5 more of his videos that got put online, I was like, this motherfucker is on some shit, and I am so down. But it was wild when he first came out. The first couple things I saw of him, because I have a lot of European friends that were just sharing some of his stuff, and I was like, I'm just not down. It's a little too goofy for me. And then after watching enough of them, I was just like, oh no, I'm like more than down. This kid he's bringing something new to snowboarding.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was almost like so new and fresh that at the beginning I was just questioning it too much.
Don't
And
get
then I had to
personally,
just
man.
like, you didn't take it personally. Just like a classic old head, just like, that's not how I used to do. That's not how I used to do things.
Exactly.
Just like the
Come
whack
on,
old
Jody.
guy. Yeah,
What
I
are the
know.
times? Yeah.
I know, totally. But I mean, I was quickly to change my mind, obviously, and I'm a huge fan now. But let's
Yeah.
shift gears here.
Mhm.
Female. Which
Yeah.
female do you think has really moved the needle in the last 10 years? Who do you think is like the game-changing girl that went from like taking snowboarding from X to X?
Well, like, it's, if you say the last 10 years, it's definitely Jamie, but like she's kind of, I don't know, Zoe's just snapped that torch out of her hand right now and is like absolutely destroying it. So she's just I don't know, like female snowboarding at this point is so exciting to watch, because they're at the point where like Haldor won X Games with a perfect 100 with a back 12 and a front double 10, you know, and that's where female snowboarding is right now. It's so exciting to watch because they're just doing all the sick tricks and learning so much every time they ride, you know, and Zoe is definitely on right now and has been for a couple of years. So she's super exciting to watch for sure.
Yeah, almost an understate. It's like, to put into words what she's achieved in the last like 16 months is insane.
Insane.
She went to natural selection and just like what?
Yeah.
Like she just is so
Ripping.
boss, looks
Mhm.
incredible on she has a very unique, authentic like snowboard style. You know, her back sevens looks like, you know, she's clearly looked up to the right individuals, because her style is
Yeah.
uniquely her own, but also influenced by the right people.
I agree.
Beautiful.
For sure. Yeah.
Did you ever meet Shawn White?
Briefly, a couple times.
Nice. How was it?
No, it was cool. I mean, it was cool for sure. But I haven't like gotten to hang, so I can't really have an opinion. But yeah.
No, you can have an opinion. What's your opinion on, you know, Shawn White has exited professional snowboarding. He's recently been seen at Burning Man. But no, like what do you think though? You're involved in the contest scene. So maybe on like a larger scale, like what do you think that Shawn did a good job of representing what the contest world is about? And I'm just intrigued by your thoughts, as I feel like you're on the same lane / path as someone like Shawn.
Okay. Well, you can't, like, Shawn has been like the most insane athlete of, you know, any time, who can like go and win gold at vert skateboarding and just 6 months later go and win X Games, you know, in snowboarding. And he's just been pushing the level of what's really possible in that ditch and in a slope too, but especially in the half pipe, and just been so insane, dude, to watch. And so much respect for Shawn. Like, he's an absolute animal to watch, you know, and he's just created this like rock star, I don't know, rock star thing about him, you know, that kind of, you know, the spandex, like he'd know how to, you know, he knew how to sell, I guess, you know, like maybe not selling to the core world of snowboarding, but he definitely got people's attention, and I think it's pretty dope. He's just going ham, like snowboarding like no one else, and and doesn't give a shit really. So I think it's kind of sick, and it's I don't know. He's kind of just ripping and doing his thing, and what can you say? Like, he's won everything and pushed half pipe to where it is, and 5 Olympics, 3 golds. Like, it's pretty insane.
I love that that's how you steered that. I completely agree. I grew up watching like Warren Miller films and Shawn White was in them, or like old Mac Dog movies, and it's just like he's a baby, and seeing him hang out with Tony Hawk when I was like a kid, and then you see him at X Games and for both snowboarding, slope style, half pipe, street, or not street skating, but vert skating. It was a insane ride for him, and even it was weird when he like said his goodbye at the Olympics, because I watched him with like closely for my entire life. I was like even I felt some like emotions. I was like, damn, like Shawn White's not gonna be in the contest scene anymore. I was like, that name, like, whether or not you like him, helped grow snowboarding and probably influenced so many people to
like,
pick up a snowboard.
You can meet any person, like, almost like every time. Let's say I wasn't just in the airport going from New Zealand, like some random US people wondered what I was doing or where I came from, whatever. And like, I said I was snowboarding. Oh, you know Shawn White? Like, everyone knows who Shawn White is. He's been like such an insane, like, people's guy, you know, like getting people into snowboarding and selling the shit out of it. You know, he's been an insane character and a guy to watch, and just been able to freaking kill it. He's been an insane athlete for sure. You got to be mental to achieve what he's achieved for sure.
You got any contest riders that you're like not a fan of? Is there anybody that you're like, damn, this homie's been grinding my gears for 10 years?
10 years, dude. Fuck this guy. No, I don't know. No, I don't think so.
Dope. Okay, well, you recently parted ways with DC. How and why did that unfold? And are you currently looking for a new sponsor? And if you want, let's talk that. Like, who are you supported by now, and how did the DC thing kind of unfold? Did you leave them? Did you know?
Yeah, it was I've been with DC, was super stoked on DC for what was it, like 11 years or something. And then Corona hit and they had to do some cuts, and that was a big bummer. And I was a part of that cut, together with several guys on the team. And it sucked for sure. And it was a weird point in my career where I was riding good, I was feeling good, and then that happened, and it just was a kind of a reality check. And it was kind of, I don't know, looking back, it's been kind of good and setting things into perspective, you know. And so not with them anymore, and it made me just kind of go, fuck it, like, ride with whatever you want to be riding with, and wear whatever you want to wear. And it was kind of nice. And I'm currently just super stoked on snowboarding, you know, not really stressed and worried. And right now I'm for sure looking for a new home in that section. And like the last season, I wasn't really, you know, trying to go crazy looking for a new sponsor or whatever. I really would just focus on trying to ride some good stuff and good products, and focus on doing well, you know, and the Olympics and all that stuff. And I wanted to have my like head straight on that. And right now I'm definitely looking for a new home and within you know, snowboarding and clothing industry, and it's kind of exciting for sure.
Who are you riding for right now?
Right now it's Rockstar and Now Bindings are the current two.
And does between the two, do they support you enough, or did you make some bucks at the Olympics?
No, they support me, and I'm super stoked on both the partners. Like, Rockstar's been with me for 6 years now, and been so dope. Like I really love the guys working there, and the brand is awesome, and something I really can go get behind, and now Binding's got JF, OG, behind the company, and he's just taking me like going sledding and helling up in Whistler, and let me like we're gonna celebrate his 50th in Japan in January. I can't wait to do that. Like he's just the dopest OG snowboarder, and really stoked on those two. So they've been really good.
If you could pick one sponsor to ride for right now, because it seems like you need like a board or outerwear, is there one brand that you're like, I fuck with that brand? Yo, holler.
For sure. Like I don't know, could definitely fuck with some brands, but right now on the come up, Forum is insane to come back in, and beyond, like I was looking at, Alex apart from Forum, fuck it, and that was like a big thing where I just rewatched so many times. It's been so dope, and so many OGs that have been on those boards, and yeah, that would probably be the sickest right now, them coming out with the brand again, bringing it back up for sure.
Yo, Jeremy, Peter, Mac,
Yeah,
Dog.
shout out.
Oh, that's sick. Good pick. I guess one last question that I have selfishly, just as an athlete, what's your diet and how do you take care of yourself? Like, do you stick to one specific diet as one thing kind of helped you overcome injuries fast? Do you not give a shit and eat whatever you want? Are you like, do you just eat reindeer? What do you do?
No, I don't know. It's I haven't eaten meat in a couple of years, like 3-4 years or something. But I eat seafood. But that's more of a, I don't know. I don't eat meat or red and white meat, I guess. So I eat seafood. Whatever.
And the reason behind that is, I'm just curious.
It's mostly like love for animals, and all the kind of hurt behind the craziness of production of meat and all that. But I guess it just makes me kind of double standardy because I eat fish and eat dairy. I guess I eat cheese, but it's at least it's a start, and I'm a bit soft for the animals, and that's it, to be honest. It's mostly because of that, and it doesn't hurt the health either. It's not, I've done some research, and it's pretty healthy to not eat a ton of red meat, and fish is good for you, and it has a lot of important fat and oils and all that. So it's a good diet for sure for health as well, but for me it's been mostly for the animals and for my love for those guys, and
let's say if you take a slam though and you're coming home, what do you do immediately to help recover just like a nagging thing, like a bruise or a tweak? Is there something that you kind of like do immediately? I feel like everybody gets those damn nags and tweaks, and we all just want to know.
I love to go in the cold plunge, and if we got like a lake nearby or a cold shower, like anything like that, super nice. I think I really like that stuff. Yeah, that's probably the go-to if it's possible, I guess.
That's good. That's real good. I wish. I'm so soft when it comes to cold water. I mean, as everyone can probably imagine, they're like, "What, dude? I thought you were so tough." No, I'm not. I can jump in, but like, dude, like you go somewhere with like some homies and they just like sit in the cold water. And you're like, damn, you're a legend. Like, I just like the cold shower, just because I know that the hot dial is just there. I'm just like, go kind of cold for a second. I'm like, just do what you like, man. Just do what you like.
Just do you, man. Yeah. That's very true. No, yeah, I like it though. I'm starting to enjoy that. So that's the go-to there. So yeah.
We got a Patreon question here from another fellow contest rider who's since moved on to filming backcountry stuff. Mikey Cicerelli.
Yeah.
Thank you for supporting the show, Psycho Mike, self-proclaimed. This is kind of a funny story. I'll ask him when I do a podcast with him. But Mikey Rents, Mark Solers, and Mikey Cicerelli were in the backcountry. Mikey kind of got brought on to film a little bit more seriously with the Burton crew.
Yeah.
And Mikey Rents was like, well, we can't have two Mikeys on the crew. What should we call you? And he's like, well, you could call me Psycho Mike. And Mikey's like, does anybody call you that? He's like, not really. And Mikey's like, well, Psycho Mike it is. Like,
That's so good.
which is a sick nickname that he gave
Psycho
himself.
Mike, self-proclaimed.
Self-proclaimed.
Anyone really call you that?
Mike.
Well, no. Gotta start somewhere.
Okay, he said, how did you become so good at locking off? How did you become so good locking on your toes on the landing of frontside and switch backside spins? I've always been a big fan of Mons.
Appreciate it, Mikey. Psycho Mike. I don't know. I remember a big inspiration for me was I remember Alec Ostring did that back in the day. I watched him do it like on some front tens and stuff, and I just thought it looked so sick and kind of aggressive, and looked like a nice way to stop your rotation, to be honest. And then I just started doing it and gotten more and more comfortable. So now if I feel like I'm going to slip over to my heels, I just go like super heavy on my toes, to stop the rotation and stop me from slipping out on tricks. And it's been like such a safety lock to me, but it definitely made me eat some shit a couple of times too. Like over rotate some stuff, try to lock and just smack your head, like try to do it, but then you just do it too late or overdo it, So, but most of the time I feel like it goes for sure. That's been
a question I have is, you're spinning over a 10, you're going up the takeoff, 60-foot jump. How do you hold such a good line on all of your rotations? I looked at some of your takeoffs and they're very straight. And from somebody who likes to just kind of pick apart someone's snowboarding, and I'm like looking at that, like, damn, like his takeoff is so good. So how do you not scrub if you're about to do a fast rotation? What's your pointer?
I don't know. I try to I don't feel like I'm the best at it, but I try to like open up whatever rotation you do, like stand up, kind of like open up your, I guess if you're doing backside or switch backside, like open up your chest a little bit towards the jump and like try to point your chest like going up right before, and kind of always think that you're gonna like anti-drift, and like go, even if you're spinning front side, you want to like drift that way, but you're not gonna, but kind of think that way, and it makes you hold your line a little, I guess.
That was good. That was a good tip. I'm going to take that one.
For sure.
I tried to do a back 10 once, which sounds terrible considering I'm a professional and I've only tried it once, but I got nothing to hide anymore here, folks. So, and I caught my heel edge.
Did you go back?
I did the anti-drift thing because I was like, I don't want to drift. And I just did like a backside 9 onto it was in the backcountry, so I was fine. But like, holy Hannah Montana, it was a ride.
But dude, on a backcountry jump though, you got to be so much more careful. Like on a cat built jump, you could just dig your shit in like so heavy and hard, and you won't like get caught up. And you can even like, I've seen people drift so crazy on tricks and you don't like catch. But on backcountry jumps, you got to be like the most proper takeoff ever. So that's another level right there. Was
it fun to go sledding with Ika Backstrom?
Yeah, dude, it was insane. It was so sick. It was super dope. Them showing me and Sebe the ropes back there, and like it was just mind blowing.
I can imagine he's got a lot of wicked footage out there, and he's been. Do you imagine you guys like went to Seagram's and stuff like that, and up face, and just he's hit everything there with Devin. That must have been kind of.
Oh yeah, he was ripping. I can remember going there. He was definitely the guy getting the most shots and just ripping. Absolutely, yeah. You could just tell how comfortable he was.
Euros, man, you guys are so good. I'm excited for you to get on forum. and
Yeah.
go to the 2026 Olympics. Is that it?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think McMorris and like the same lineup for the most part will be at the next Olympics? Or do you think
Good
it's going to be?
question. I wonder that myself. Like I've heard some rumors Mick Mo wants to do it. And like to be honest, like he's only getting better. So and it's not like he's dropping off the podiums, you know what I'm saying? So he definitely could if he wanted to. And I'd love to see him do it. He'd be that'd be insane.
As a Canadian and as a big Mark McMorris fan, I would love to see him take home the gold because I just know
bet he
he
would
wants.
too.
It's just like for his like for him to be like one of the greats in action sports or just in sports. I think that the way the public would view this is he needs to get that gold at the Olympics in order for him to be up with the Shawn Whites and etc. of the
With
world.
emphasis on the public though.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
we
Like
all know for
the
sure.
snowboard community will always know, but we're all gonna die. And in 200 years, McMorris wants to know that he's up there with one of the greats. You know what I mean? And he needs that gold. And Stale with that bloody or not Stale, sorry, Sage with that damn bloody Dracula spin took my boy Mark out when I thought that he was gonna. Actually, I kind of think Stale could have maybe even taken gold on that one. What did you think about that event? The Sage, Stale, and Mark podium. I think it was 2014 or
yeah.
What did you think about that?
Well, I don't know. It's hard. I guess it's hard not to be biased, but I'm
biased.
I'm pretty confident that should have been Stale's.
Nice.
But it's at the same time, like Sage did something extremely unique and that was rewarded. And it's like, it's hard to discuss it. I don't know either way, but at least, I don't know. It was the first Olympic slope got in there. An American guy won it and he, it was awesome. Like he got so much great attention into snowboarding and Sage is such a good guy that
totally
it was so dope for either of those guys to win it. Like there's like insane dudes, insane snowboarders but I remember watching and I was surprised for sure that Stale didn't get it with that run, but I might be Norwegian too, but that was me.
Yeah, I just remember being surprised that Sage. I thought that should have been the top 3. I just would have shuffled things around. But I think I haven't watched that contest run in a long time, so I should be careful what I'm saying. Don't want to lose any friends on the show. All right, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions here. We'll let you go to sleep because I know that you have you've been traveling forever. And I can see that your face is getting red and you're tired.
For sure getting tired. Well,
all right. Your favorite style currently and back in the day.
Favorite style currently and back in the day. To me right now, I don't know. Like, I think Dusty is bringing something really unique, which I think is really fun to watch. He's like just asleep doing the most insane tricks. And I think he's like so entertaining to watch, just being an OG baggiest fit and just being an insane snowboarder. I think he has really sick style. And back in the day, I think back in the day when like Mikkel Bang was OG baggy, like the crazy baggy fit was so dope. But like also, like Devin Wallace was a freaking legend if you're looking further back, and such good style and insane control. So many people you could bring in though. But yeah, those are like some of my highlights for sure.
Good picks. It's wild to look at someone like Devin and nobody in snowboarding has even come close to like looking like that. Him, Mark Frank, there's a few other people that just like I haven't seen anybody do a switchback 5 like Devin or a half cab
Yeah.
like Devin. It's like people
So
have
dope.
tried, it just does not work. And I think that
Yeah.
a lot of people who try, it looks bad because it's like hard to pull off Devin's style. Like floaty arms by the side.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right body type or you don't know how to put your legs, it's like, I don't know. I think that would be a tough one to pull off.
For
The,
sure.
the Devin doppelganger is a tough one.
Yeah.
Your favorite video?
Favorite video. It's a good question. For me, like something I just watched so many times over. When I was like getting so into snowboarding, that's probably why I like made it my favorite, was Black Winter.
Damn.
Was
Was
like
that
an
the
OG
standard movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think so. And that was just like when my big idols were just like going off, like Halder and Torstein, you know, like killing it in those movies. So yeah, I'd say so.
It's very sick. I think that was Jeeves's last big video part, and he had a crooked back lip in there, and we always used to make fun of him because he's so good at snowboarding, and he went on this like rail trip, and he came back, and the following year, it's like the video comes out, and we're like, "How do you do?" He's like, "Terrible. Like I had the worst part ever." And then he comes out with like this horrendous back lip, and he's so good. So it's hard not to give him the gears. All right. Favorite grab.
Favorite grab. I think melon is really dope.
I love a good melon. A melon poked,
same.
especially on a hip. Oof.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I agree. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Pet peeve, what does that mean?
Something that gets under your skin, something that irritates you easily.
Oh.
Could be somebody stealing your phone charger. Could be people on a plane standing up before the plane lands, you know.
that kind of gets me a little. It's like trying to get, I don't know, when you're just chilling and people are just standing up, wants to wait for 10 minutes standing. I don't get the point at all. Could just be chilling.
Me neither. That's the reason why that's one of my
so
biggest
ridiculous.
pet peeves.
Yeah, it's just like, trying to get first, like trying to go off first, but there's like, you can't go anywhere.
Totally. They didn't pay their dues, aka you didn't get first class seats, so sit down like the rest of us, you economy cheap.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty revealing.
Who's the most underrated?
Underrated.
Other than yourself.
Yeah.
I'll give you that shout out. I think that you're one of the most underrated boarders right now. As far as the fact that you don't have a board sponsor right now, an outerwear sponsor, I think that you're in a special position. I think that if you do contests this year, you do half decent at them, and you film any kind of backcountry stuff that's like with JF, if you get out or go to Japan and get some Mons flavor, I think you'll be sitting pretty. Yeah,
definitely. I am super down to go film this year and want to spend way more time doing that than I have. So I'm stoked to do that. But yeah, most underrated. I feel like I've been dropping a lot of Norwegian names though, which is hard because I don't know, because I'm just so close to these guys but I feel like we have Norwegian on the team. It's just like one of the best boarders I know. Like his board control is just ridiculous. And Marcus Olimstad, if you know him, he is just like the most steezy, insane guy to watch, and just kind of has that little like hasn't, I don't know, punched through yet, and it's just so frustrating to see someone that good just not get what they deserve, kind of. And yeah, I feel like he's super underrated.
Let's get that name one more time, just so it gets put into somebody's head.
Marcus Olimstad, killer. Yeah, he just put out a sick edit called Postcard, I think. Which go peep on YouTube.
Postcard.
Postcard, yeah, I think so. I can check real quick.
Yeah, Postcard.
Marcus
Rad. I like that. There's definitely like, I mean, I live in Canada, so I definitely try and biasly promote my friends and people that I like am down with. I mean, that's just how life works. You know what I mean? Like my homies at Mount Seymour that are the sickest, like that don't get the love and support that they deserve, or not even Seymour, just around. I mean, I love to plug them when I can. So I'm happy you picked the kid that and you can probably see a little bit of yourself in them too. Sometimes when I'm batting for a kid, I can see like some of me in it, and I'm like, damn, like this kid needs his opportunity. So that was a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
The worst judge in contests. You got a name for us?
Dude, trying to put me on the spot here. I'm gonna get blacklisted.
I'm kidding. I don't want you to get black.
Yeah,
don't want you to get black. I don't want to get you blacklisted here. All right, what's your favorite contest trick right now?
Favorite contest trick. I don't know. It all depends. I don't know. It depends on the jump, I guess. Like,
let's say if Mons is having a dream, you're having a good sleep. Well, what trick are you doing in your brain?
I guess like the favorites are always going to be the stuff you're most comfortable with, and I feel like the biggest trick I'm the most comfortable is a switchback 16 right now, because it's just done it for a little bit and it just feels super good, and that's probably it. Doesn't take a lot like of effort anymore, and it just feels super comfortable.
Cool. If you feel like it this year and you're going switchback 16 and you want to switch it up to nose grab, I'd be down. You know what I mean? Like
I've done that for a couple of years actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn,
Dude.
I gotta do my homework. I didn't see that one. I was thinking about that the other day, and I was like, damn, a switchback 16 with a nose grab would be fucked up. But apparently
you're not talking switch nose, right? You're talking nose.
Yeah. Nose.
Yeah.
All right, who's the GOAT?
Great question.
Maybe do GOAT contest and then just overall just GOAT, whoever that is to you.
Contest snowboarding GOAT. I don't know. It's like you kind of got to say Shawn White, you know, like kind of the contest GOAT, and overall GOAT, like Travis is definitely name up there, you know, putting out just ridiculous stuff from insane mountains and winning contests before that, and now created, you know, the insane POW contest and it's just pushing still. And yeah, kind of got to give it to him because natural selection and he's still just, you know, giving so much and pushing, and it's just a freaking insane human.
Yeah, he's a beast. Yeah, I'm a big Travis fan myself. All right, I guess one last question would be like, what advice do you have for the young Norwegian, the young Mons that's sitting at home right now, that's just trying to like get his foot in the door, the young kid that's maybe underrated and trying to figure it out? What kind of advice do you have for one of those kids?
Great question. I don't know. For me, I don't know. For me, it's just realizing it's all been about, you know, the love for snowboarding, you know, and how sick that actually is, and the more you realize that, and that it's not for anyone else but yourself, the more it's going to show, you know, and that you're not trying to ride to please anyone or do what you think anyone else wants you to do or wants you to look or whatever. Like, do whatever feels good to you and natural to you, and that's going to be what's looking the best at in the end, and feeling the best, which is so important, like giving you the best feeling. And yeah, I think that's my advice.
Thank you for coming on, Mons. You are an absolute boss.
Thank you, Joe.
I've seen you go from the little kid on the hill that was very, very talented doing. I remember me and my friend Logan Hallberg were watching you, and we were like, damn, this kid is sick. But you looked like a child because you were a baby you were an infant on a snowboard. And to watch you curate your own style and kind of navigate this space that best suits Mons, I think that you're killing it. And I'm really excited to watch your snowboarding and forever. For that matter, it's just you have great style, and I think that I don't know where you're going to be in the coming years, but I'm excited to watch it. So thank you for coming on the show, Mons.
Thanks so much, Jody. It's awesome, and I appreciate you not only fucking hosting this great podcast, but having me on it. So it's awesome. Grateful. Thank you.
Word, dude. You have yourself a great night. Get some sleep. And we're excited for you to win some gold this year.
Thanks, brother.
Peace.
Bye.
That was awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. What do you
That's
mean?
good.
Don't worry. Like and subscribe, Airtime Podcast. Turn that bell on.
Cody,
Don't miss an episode.
is this the battery that you grabbed this morning?